Hey there everyone, welcome back for another video and my name is Ivo, and first off I want to say thank you so much for subscribing to my channel for 380 subscribers. It means a lot to me, so thank you. Now today I'm actually going to do a discussion video, and of course I'm going to count the top 10 reasons why the movie why this film is my favorite. And of course today I'm actually going to discuss and talk about one of my favorite action films of all time, and that's of course Commando, 1985 classic quintessential action film, one of my all-time favorite movies. I actually just got recently this Blu-ray for 17 euros. My friend actually ordered it from a nice guy from eBay, and I got it and I watched it again. And Commando is one of my all-time favorite action films ever. Actually, my favorite movie of all time. I'm a fanboy of Commando because they don't make them like this anymore. Commando stars Arnold Schwarzenegger, and over the years, Arnold Schwarzenegger became one of the most biggest phenomenal action stars of all time. People are still talking about his movies nowadays, and the many movies that's actually most famous is actually T2, Terminator 2 Judgment Day, or the Terminator, because I remember a month ago I saw some guy who did a video and kind of a discussion about the Terminator, why it's his favorite science fiction action film for all time, And there are so many other movies like True Lies, Predator, Jingle All the Way, Twins, Kindergarten Cop, I think I mentioned True Lies once again. Those people, Last Action Hero. These movies are actually talk a lot, and people are talking a lot about this. People talk more about those movies I just mentioned, and they explain why why they enjoy them, why they are their favorite movies, But I want to talk about and discuss about Commando and explain why it's my favorite movie, my top 10 reasons, which I'll get soon, and why this movie is in my top 10 favorite action films of all time, why it's such a classic, Yeah, so let's get started. First off, the history. This was honestly my first Arnold Schwarzenegger film I saw, my first action film. I was around 8 years old, back in 1991, 1992. My dad went in a video store and he brought two videotapes. The first one was Commando, the other one was Raw Deal. And I never heard of Arnold Schwarzenegger. Never heard of this actor before. So I pop up this film. This is actually the first film I saw. And I was blown away how good it was. So I watched Raw Deal, and Raw Deal was terrible. I don't like Raw Deal at all. I did a review on that film, but I'm not a fan of that film. I'm actually a fan of Commando. First off, I love the... no, actually, let's just go top 10. Or, first off, the plot. I'm so gushing about this film. I'm so happy about this film, that I don't know where to start, because it's such a great, phenomenal action film, epic action film, watching it once again, and it's really awesome, So the plot, everyone knows the plot's about. It kind of very similarity to Brian Mills' Taken. I would rather choose Commando over Taken. I like Taken, but I love Commando to death, I love this movie to death, and it's one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's classic films. My favorite of Arnold will actually be Predator, but Commando is right there. Commando and Predator are my top 2 favorite movies that Arnold did. And this is my favorite movie as a kid, This is actually my dad's favorite movie, and once again, my dad was the reason, that I became such a huge Arnold fan, that I became such a huge Stallone fan. Back as a kid, I've watched more these action movies from the 80s, Commando, Rocky 4, and I actually watched the Rambo trilogy, First Blood, and Rambo 3 I watched the most as a kid. Rambo First Part 2, but First Blood and Rambo 3 I watched the most on VHS, or Bloodsport, Van Damme, right there in the middle is Hard Target. Or Bruce Willis, The Last Boy Scout, which I watch a lot, But yeah, I grew up with those action heroes, I grew up with Stan Seagal's Casey Ryback, or Nico Toscani from About the Law, in Under Siege, Casey Ryback. I grew up with those kind of guys. I grew up with Patrick Swayze's Dalton, right there in Roadhouse, those guys I grew up. So nowadays, we have superheroes like Avengers, Black Widow, Thor, Iron Man, Hulk, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange. I think there are other type of superheroes. We also have now the new Batman, which is gonna be starred Robert Pattinson, and the new Batman's gonna suck. We have Superman and all those superheroes, But me as a kid, growing up watching, those are actually my comic book heroes, This was my comic book hero. This is my comic book hero, John Matrix. He was my comic book hero, Chance Boudreaux, John McClane, John Rambo, John Spartan, Dalton from Roadhouse, Casey Ryback, Nico Toscani. Those are my action heroes. Those are my comic book heroes. My comic book heroes growing up. Major Alan Dad Schaefer from Predator. Mike Harrigan from Predator 2. Those are my comic book heroes. And Commando became a one-man army type, and this is even before they actually This was actually before Keanu Reeves did John Wick trilogy, before even Keanu Reeves did The Matrix, There was John Matrix, which is my favorite character, So let's go start with top 10 reasons. Number 10, I love one-man type army films, one-man army type films. I love the first Die Hard, which is one-man army type. I love, this movie in the middle, Hard Target. I love the Rambo films, I also love Commando, Predator, I love this kind of one-man army type films. Everything about this film that is always practical done, explosions are practical done, the acting performance is awesome, But first off, the genre, it's an action film. It's an army action film. I love one-man type army films, That's number 10, one-man army type films. I always enjoy this kind of guys, that go kicks ass, just like Cobra, I love Cobra. And Commando and Cobra are definitely one of my top two favorite 80s action films. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone. And like I said, some guy did a video about the Terminator. I'm gonna do gushing and I'm gonna saying how much I love this movie, Commando. This is my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger film. With Predator is my favorite. It's my all-time favorite. But I love that it's not just 80. I don't consider this movie being cheesy or Cobra being cheesy. I love that it has serious tone. I love that it has a little gore in it. I just love that about the film. Number 9, the explosions. Like I said, there's all practical done. There's no CGI today. There's no CGI then. Now it's too much CGI and green colors and green and gray and bullshit colors. All fucking joke. It's all practical done. When John Matrix, in the fortress, he goes, Osh's call the terrorist camp, when Matrix puts all the claymores, and some guys, they're actually in the tower and shooting him with a gun, and he goes, shoots the bad guys, and he runs, he uses the detonator of the claymores, he blows up he goes and blows up all the barracks. You see all the barracks been blown up. That's done for real. They build up, the filmmakers, they build those barracks, and you can see they weren't the real soldiers, But one shot, when Arnold Schwarzenegger's running and fires them, he detonates the claymores. You can see all the barracks blown up. You see the real explosions. Those are real explosions. It was all practical done. That's real done. Or in the open scene, we have introduction in which we see a boat and the boat gets exploded. A real explosion. I just love that. The gunfights. The guns were done for real. They were awesome. The guns. There's a lot of weapons used in this movie, there's a lot of weapons used in this movie. You have we have a lot of automatic weapons, Everyone talks about T2, how great weapons, great explosion projectiles are used, We have like a rocket launcher, which I'll show you this, Arnold with rocket launcher. He goes and blows up that wall. That was another explosion that was done for real. The explosions are practical. I just love that. And I love that he's dressed like a soldier, And I love that the explosions are awesome. They're phenomenal. They are fantastic films in it. It's a fantastic, It's practical done. It's all done for real. And the movie, was budget only $10 million, So just... it was low budget, $10 million, made $57 million in worldwide, The same year, Commando and came out as Rambo First Blood Part 2, one of Sylvester Stallone's favorite movies of mine. And Rambo First Blood Part 2 cost $44 million, or was $45 million, somewhere there. And Rambo First Part 2 actually made better than Commando, because Commando earned only $57 million, while Rambo First Part 2 made over $300 million. It broke the record worldwide, and of course Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone, they were both competitors. They both competed each other, they hated each other, and it was actually who kills more people on screen. And when Arnold saw Sylvester Stallone without t-shirt, he was pissed off. And he said if someone will ask what he thinks about his movies, he will say they're all crap, all of them, He hated them, and he was not happy because Rambo First Part 2 came out the same year as Commando. And that movie made more worldwide, in the box office, And... yeah, but what I love is not only explosions, the gunfights, the fights, the outlines, and so on, which I'll get more. That was number 10, I think. Number 9 reason, I think was number 8 reason. I think was let's just say number 8 reason. Number 8 reason, I love actually the actress, the cast. Let's talk about the cast. I love all the cast about this film. The cast, Arnold Schwarzenegger, which he did. He first off was great acting performance. He did like realistic, He plays, of course, the character. He plays the character, retired Delta Force. The Delta Force Special Forces colonel soldier who's now retired, and Arnold Schwarzenegger took this role. He liked this role. Actually, Nick Nolte is supposed to play John Matrix, but when director Mark L. Lester came on board, he didn't. He actually wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Arnold agreed to do this film. First off, he liked this character. He liked his character, and he liked the movie, because he didn't like to play, because he plays a normal person. He doesn't play a caveman or a robot, being naked. So he plays actually a real person, a normal person. And I don't like the script. I don't like the film. So he agreed to do this film, and he plays an action hero in this movie, which I love that. And like I said, John Matrix is my favorite comic book hero. It's my comic book hero. This is how it's supposed to be nowadays. They don't make action movies like this nowadays. They don't make them. Today, in my opinion, are a joke. All of them are joke. That's one of the reasons I consider this movie a real action film, a movie that I enjoy. Now, there was a lot of actresses who played, who actually went and who auditioned for the role of Jenny Matrix, but Alyssa Milano, she got the role. She played the 10, 11-year-old daughter of John Matrix. But I actually just read that Shannon Doherty, Cameron, I think was, not Cameron, I want to say Cameron Diaz, no. Shannon Doherty, Drew Barrymore, Shannon Elizabeth, they all auditioned for the role of Jenny, but Alyssa Milano got the role. Winona Ryder also auditioned for the role of Jenny. I thought that Alyssa Milano did a fine job as little girl Jenny. I enjoyed that. Now the cast, the group who played terrorist Dan Hedaya, he was also played with Sylvester Stallone Daylight as Arios. He did a great job as the dictator, who wants to be a president in Valverde. That is actually a fictional country. Valverde doesn't exist. It's a fictional country, but was also used in the Die Hard 2. The sequel, the predecessor to Die Hard Avengers. That you see my poster there, because I love this movie to death more than the second one. Now, Dan Hedaya as the villains did a great job. The best one that it was actually Bennett, played by Vernon Wells. I never met the actor or any of the actors, but I heard that Vernon Wells was really a nice guy. That he was really a nice guy. Vernon Wells never heard of Arnold Schwarzenegger before this movie was made, but when they did this movie, they became close friends since ever. Vernon Wells is a really good actor. The reason he got the role was because he was the bad guy in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, Wes, and Michael Lester. He did a great job. This is actually his favorite movies of his own that he directed. And Michael Lester, he directed a lot of good movies. He directed Class of 1984. He directed, which I like. He directed the sequel, which is my favorite, which I do have in my Blu-ray collection, and that's Class of 1999, starring Bradley Gregg in it. I love that movie to death. I think it's very underrated. If you didn't see it, check it out. Now, he also directed Showdown Little Tokyo, which I reviewed, and some people like it, some people hated it, what I had to say about the film. He directed that movie Betrayal, which I don't think I have ever seen it, with Erika Eleniak. He also directed the movie The Base with Mark Dacascos. I didn't like that movie. I think there was a sequel out there, The Base. He directed a lot of movies, but my favorite will be Commando that he directed. Probably Showdown Tokyo will be I don't know, Class of 1999, I have to say, probably my second favorite. Showdown Little Tokyo, my third favorite he did. But Commando's my favorite he did, So great direction by Michael Lester. Now, like I changed the subject with Vernon Wells. Vernon Wells, he got the role because he was in Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior. But before Vernon Wells was cast, Vince Hauser was hired by 20th Century Fox to play a villain. And when Mark Lester came on board, he fired Vince Hauser and he hired Vernon Wells, because Vernon Wells was tall and the production designers didn't have time to create a costume for Vernon Wells, so he was wearing those clothes that Vince Hauser was wearing them. That's why they were so tight. They didn't have time, And the movie was actually filmed in 45 days, on a low budget, $10 million. But the cast did great job, Charles Mesek, rest in peace, he played Henriquez in which there was a real army consultant, in which was served as technical advisor, a real soldier, which he was teaching and training Arnold how and show him those moves, how he can break Henrique's neck on an airplane. He goes, punches him, grabs his neck, breaks him. I love that scene. It was great shot, great direction. The rest of the cast, I think I think that late actor James Olson, or was Jim Olson, he played commanding officer to John Matrix, General Franklin Kirby, which is awesome. General Franklin Kirby kind of reminds me on Colonel Samuel Troutman from the Rambo trilogy. He kind of is similar. There was a scene that in which Franklin Kirby shows up in a mall and talks to the cops, they're not to stop him, and he talks surroundings, just like Samuel Troutman did in First Blood. But I think that scene, that's just my opinion, but I think in my opinion that scene was deleted because it was very in similarity to First Blood, and they did not want to do that, But yeah, the cast did a great job. I love the cast, everyone, the actors. Flight attendant Chelsea Field, from which she was later Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man. She was the last Boy Scout, and I think she was in another movie that I don't remember right now. But yes, Chelsea Field was definitely one of my favorite actresses. She was flight attendant on the flight, which I love that. I love the flight. They actually had to shut down the LA terminal in which they were filming the movie for a day, which was awesome. The planes you see are real. So yes, that was awesome. It was real, So the cast. There is also forgot the actress who was with that guy who was killed, in the open scene at Forrestal, the guy that is killed. Really beautiful actress. They aren't actresses that beautiful like was that girl. I forgot to wrote her down, but okay. So yes, the cast, I love everyone. Everyone, in my opinion, even the terrorists are actually beautiful. Branscombe Richmond from Renegade, is awesome in this movie. And I forgot to mention, but I don't like, I'm glad that Winkhauser was fired because he's a terrible villain. I watched that movie LA Bounty, in which he was a bad guy. He did a shitty job as a bad guy. LA Bounty to me sucked. It was a cheesy, lame movie. But he did a villain. He played the Carpenter from, I think it was 1987. I hated that movie. That movie is a piece of garbage. I pissed on that movie because he was so shitty awful. He cannot be a villain, But as a hero type, I think that Winchauser did a fantastic job because I love No Safe Haven, which I think he wrote the story, and one of my favorite movies he did. It's a revenge 80s type film, which is on YouTube now, but that movie deserves a Blu-ray, and like I said, Winchauser to me is more an action hero, more an action star. He's more a hero to me than a villain. Villain would be a terrible, So yes, Branscombe Richmond was the guy in the warehouse when Arnold Schwarzenegger opens the door and goes and kicks the living hell out of him and grabs in the closet. That was Branscombe Richmond. Branscombe Richmond was actually in No Safe Haven. He played the bad guy, Manuel Vega, and he was later in Renegade, which he played the good guy, Bobby Six Killer. And Branscombe Richmond is a really nice guy. He was also in License to Kill in James Bond, and like I said, Branscombe Richmond always gets kicked, gets his face, smashed in all those movies. He was also in Harley Davidson, the Marlboro Man. He got his face smashed there. He was in Show the Little Tokyo when he played a Yakuza. He opens and he gets hit by Dolph Lundgren in the face. Like I said, Branscombe Richmond is a very underrated actor, very nice actor. Bill Paxton, rest in peace, from Aliens. He was also in this movie. From Predator 2 was also in this movie. He was a Coast Guard, when he talks about to Arnold Schwarzenegger. They were actually Arnold and Bill Paxton did 3 movies together. I think this is actually the second movie they did together. The first one was The Terminator, in which Bill Paxton played a punk, and he gets killed by a Terminator. He gets killed. In this movie, he plays a co-star, actually a Coast Guard on a radar. And in the third movie they did was actually True Lies with James Cameron. I think he played a fake spy or salesman or something. But Bill Paxton, I really love him in Predator 2. He got killed by a predator. I love him in Aliens. He gets killed by an alien. I love that movie in which he played Twister. I love him in Twister. I love him in that movie. What is that movie titled already? I forgot that movie from the 1990 with Apollonia he played with Ben Johnson in it. I like that film. I like him in Vagrant. The Vagrant is a really good movie. I mean, I really miss Bill Paxton. He passed away in 2016. It's really a loss. I mean, he get killed by Predator, by Terminator, by Alien, So it's really sad. Such a good actor, They're no longer with us anymore. I think that Charles Michel did a good job, as Enriquez, But that's the cast, on Commando that I love, besides Arnold Schwarzenegger's best movie, which is a quintessential action film. Number seven, James Horner's The Music. James Horner did a good job. I mean, he did a lot of music scores. He did a music score for Aliens, and of course Commando. I don't remember for the rest movies, but he did for Commando, and of course for Aliens, which I remember. I love. I think he did for Aliens. The Terminator and Terminator 2 was actually Brad Fidel. But James Horner did a great music score. I love his music score. He did for 48 Hours. The music score for John Matrix and Commando is actually from 48 Hours. They use the same music score in Commando. So yes, 48 Hours, another action film that I love with Eddie Murphy. I reviewed that film. I reviewed Commando. That time I actually listed, Commando as number 8 in the ranking of Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll say definitely my second favorite Arnold film. My top 3 Arnold films now are Predator, Commando, and The Running Man. I love those 3 movies, but I love this movie to death. I mean, it's a quintessential, one of the greatest action heroes of all time. One of the greatest. This is my comic book hero. This is one of the greatest action movies of all time. A classic. I don't see cheesy. I don't see that there's any cheesy. I don't know what the hell cheesy even means. It's a great action film, a great badass, and yes, we shall get soon, But the music score is awesome. It's a fantastic music score. The music score is it's awesome. I love the music score. I forgot to mention there's only one song in this movie soundtrack, but I think that We Fight for Love. I love that song. Performed by Power Station. I love that song. So it was awesome. I love that song, and I love James Horner's music score. So yeah, that's to me number 7. Number 6. So what's actually number 6? It's fast-paced. The movie is fast-paced. I forgot to mention there's the director's cut out there, which is actually 2 minutes long. This is the theatrical cut, the one I saw on VHS tape. I saw this movie back on VHS as a kid, and I watch it all the time. This is my favorite movie, But I love the movie that's fast-paced. That is only 1 hour 30 minutes long. It's not 2 hours long. It's not over long. It's not over boring. It's fast-paced. I love in the movies when it goes fast-paced, when it's not boring. I can watch this movie 100 times. I'll never get bored. So yes, it's fast-paced. It's not boring. It's a badass film. It's just great, well acted. A lot of stuff are great in it, so yeah, that's number 6 reason, Number 5, love the lines, like let's party, it should supposed to be titled Let's Party. Somehow, somewhere, someone's going to pay. Even the trailer is somehow, somewhere, someone's going to pay, which I love that. Number 5, which I love that. The lines, the lines from John Matrix, I forgot to mention Bill Duke, who is also in this movie. He plays Cook, the black assassin. I completely forgot him, when I counted in my top, in my previous reasons, it was top 8 or was top 7 when I actually said, but yes, Bill Duke is awesome. I love the guy. He plays Cook in this movie, and Joel Silver also was producer in this movie. So he when he produced Predator, he went and Bill Duke and Arnold Schwarzenegger, they both went and they both starred together in Predator. They collaborated the second time together. That was awesome. Now the lines, which is one of my favorite lines of all time, is actually when Bill Cook holds his hands in the motel and says, "Are you scared, motherfucker? You should be, because this Green Beret is gonna kick your big ass," And Arnold replies and says back, I eat Green Berets for breakfast. And right now I'm very hungry. He goes and punches the guy, knocks him out, We just love that, I actually love that in the film, the lines. "Are you scared, motherfucker? You should be, because this Green Beret is gonna kick your big ass." This is actually a reference to John Rambo, because John Rambo is actually a Green Beret. And because John Matrix is actually the Delta Force Commando, he's actually a martial arts expert, Delta Force Commando, and he's actually he's Delta Force Commando. He's actually former Special Forces colonel. He isn't a Green Beret like was John Rambo, and it's actual reference so that John Matrix is more tougher than John Rambo. That was reference, to Rambo, First Blood, because don't fuck with Delta Force, don't fuck with John Matrix. He's a Delta Force operative, don't fuck with him. I eat the Green Berets for breakfast, and right now I'm very hungry, and I love that. I love the lines. How much did you pay, you Bennett? They offered me 100 grand. When I found out it was you, I do it for nothing. Hey, hold it! I'll be back, Bennett. John, I'll be ready, John. I love those lines. The lines are fantastic. The writing was actually Joseph Loeb III and Matthew Weissman. They actually wrote the story, but Steven E. Souza, who also wrote the screenplay for Die Hard, Joseph Loeb and Matthew Weissman were both fired. So Steven E. Souza, he wrote the screenplay, which he did a great job. And also when Matrix escapes on the airplane, when Matrix escapes on the airplane, he goes and escapes in the airplane. That was actually in which Steven E. D'Souza made out, that he's in the elevator and he escapes, So yeah, that's actually the lines, I'm airsick, sorry, get to be sick. I'm airsick, The lines are fantastic. Steven E. D'Souza wrote a great script, That's the reasons why it's my top 10, Reasons why it's my favorite movie of all time. Why I love this movie to death. I'm a fanboy of Commando. Yes, I'm a fanboy of this movie. As a kid, it was my favorite movie of all time. My number 1 movie of all time. So yeah, that's the lines. And actually, I also love when Arnold grabs, Sally and says, uh, where is she? This clown clear, get fucked. I appreciate loyalty, but it's gonna not have it's gonna gravity. He grabs him. That's why we call him Vikarm. Uh, and of course, Sally says, no, don't. He tells him, Cook knows. You need me because you need me alive. I don't want to get you your daughter. And says, where is she? Cook knows. I'll get you there. You won't. Why not? Because I already know. Remember when I told you Sally to kill it last? Yes, you did. I lied. And he shows him. Michael Lester wanted that Arnold Schwarzenegger grabs Sally and shows him really, that he chose David Patrick Kelly, that he throws him off the cliff, and Arnold replied, are you crazy? So they use crane instead. And I forgot to mention David Patrick Kelly, who plays Sally, he was also in 48 Hours, He played Luther in that movie, he gets killed. In this movie, he gets thrown off the cliff. David Patrick Kelly was in The Warriors with Walter Hill, and he was also in The Crow with Brandon Lee. So yes, another underrated actor in my opinion. But yes, the lines are great. I forgot to mention, but Ori Down John, because Cindy also did a great job. So yeah, she's the number 4. Cindy did a great job as Festy attendant, which she helps when she helps John Matrix, to get the girl back because she was innocent. They would really kill her. They will kill a kid, and he has like 10 hours to find her. Number 3 reason I love the movie because it has a great action scenes in it. It has great action scenes in it, like in the opening scene. Like we see a dumpster and we see Bill Cook. He shows up, and this guy, Forrester shows up with garbage. Just says, "Hey, wait a minute, fellas! I thought you could miss me. Don't worry, we won't." And they grab the gun, and he's like, "Oh!" And they go shoots and blasts him with Uzi, with the gun. I love that scene and see a real blood scripts, which I love that, real blood scripts. I just love that, real blood scripts. Or this guy gets hit with a car, he gets killed by a car. I love that scene. There's other films there's other things that I enjoy, There's a body count in this movie is 109 people. 109 people, I think that it was in documentary, that there is actually around 81 people in which John Matrix kills, but on trivia it's written that he kills them 102, that he kills them. The most body count movie that it has that I know is actually Hard Boiled, John Woo's movie, before Hard Target showed up, the middle, it's actually Hard Boiled. It has over 300 body counts, which is all practical done. And my third reason is also everything's practical done, Like there's 2 soldiers gets killed by this guy who plays Diaz, with M16. He kills them both, which I just love that you see Jackson, whose neck is slashed, and I love that scene. I love that scene, when Arnold shows up, in the shed, his cabin, and this guy, Diaz sits, says, some people are actually in your business. If you want your daughter back, you have to cooperate. Right? Wrong. And Arnold goes, shoots in the head. I love that, in the face, I actually love that, But yeah, the action scenes. Another scene is another scenes that I actually do love. Is the finale. But that's I'm gonna talk in my top 1. In my favorite reason why it's such a great, phenomenal, kick-ass action movie from the 80s. But yeah, that's actually mostly the action scenes. That's really work. They're all practical done. It's why I love this movie so much, and I love like one man army type, which I counted in number 10, the car chase scenes. The car chase scenes are awesome, the car chase scenes. I love the car chase scenes, when when Schwarzenegger and Trade Chong are actually driving and they're chasing, this guy, David Patrick Kelly, and his car smashes and they hit in the tree. I love that scene. I actually really do love that scene. The mall scene, I forgot to mention, I also love the mall scene. The mall was actually, which I wrote down, it was actually Sherman O's Galleria. It was the same Galleria used later in Terminator 2 Judgment Day. The same Galleria was used before was actually used in this movie. Before was used in this movie, it was the same, was actually the same the was actually the same the was actually the same was actually the same wall, and I love when Arnold grabs, the rope and he swings like Tarzan. That was a stuntman, but awesome, but yeah, so that's actually number 3. Now number 2, number 1 was kind of tough, but I'll go. I'll go with number 2 because number 1 I have to talk later. Number 2 is actually the weapons. The weapons that that Arnold Schwarzenegger is carrying. The weapons are great. First off, I have to wrote down, but I love his weapon. This is actually a custom-made Finnish Valmont. It's actually Valmet. It's actually a Finnish Valmet M7883. It's actually a Finnish light machine gun. Light machine gun, which it has Mauser Mark X Electro Point 4.4 scope. 7.6251 millimeter NATO. But this is actually a custom weapon made. It's actually a custom machine gun, light machine gun made, because I actually researched about the weapon that Arnold Schwarzenegger used to kill the bad guys, yeah, and like I said, that weapon is actually custom made because Valmet M7883 has actually 2 magazines. You actually get, if you purchase the weapon, you get 2 magazines. One has 30 rounds, the other one has 20 rounds. But like I said, you don't get that kind of magazine that you see in this cover, because it's a Finnish light machine gun. But you do get 2 magazines with 20 and 30 rounds. But I love his weapon, his light machine gun. I love that. I love his gun, his semi-automatic pistol, Desert Eagle Mark 1. It's actually 357 Magnum semi-automatic pistol, which he used it in the movie. I love that. But I love this weapon. I love this light machine gun. The light machine gun is awesome. It's a fantastic light machine weapon. Is a fantastic that he uses. He uses a shotgun, pump shotgun action, 387 Remington, which he used. I loved his gun he used. The knife was actually used. The knife was actually the knife was custom made by, I think was it wasn't the same the same knife expert that did for Rambo films. But I think was I wrote down somewhere I think was I can't find that guy who did Jack Crane. It was actually made. The knife was made by a custom made. Jack Crane. Jack Crane was actually a custom made. So yes, the grenades, the vest, which was made by Air Force, his vest, a combat vest. That's actually a combat vest. I love that he wears that combat vest. Um, the bullets, for his shotgun. I love that he wears. And I love his combat vest. I love that he actually has black paint. I love his black paint around his face. I love that he goes suits out. I love the weapons that he used to kill the soldiers. I love the scene. I love the scene when he goes, and kills. He goes in the. He actually goes on Ario's compound, and he uses knife, stabs the guys. He goes in this chat, and you have actually a gore in it. It's actually director's cut, which is a little longer, but it's a more length, but he uses that razor disc. He goes and uses that razor disc. He throws that razor disc in the guy in the head. He uses a pitchfork, stabs the guy. Uses a razor disc, and slices the guy's head. It's actually a gore. He uses a machete, an axe, goes and stabs the guy in the chest with an axe, grabs the guy, cuts his arm, he goes and cuts his arm with the machete. It's gore. In the director's cut, he grabs the arm and shows the guy, he shows him, the guy, his arm. But in this movie, it's actually cut. And I love that scene. I love that he uses machine gun M60E3, which has around 100 rounds till 200 rounds, which you have an armored belt, and I miss this kind of action heroes, he goes and blasts the bad guys to pieces, Love when he uses M60E, machine gun, the same machine gun Rambo used in Rambo First World Part 2, but in the movie, Rambo did not use that much machine gun. He only killed, two Vietnamese soldiers, but in this movie, Arnold kills a dozen, around a dozen on a Herald Estate, property, kills all the bad guys many times, and I love his that he uses machine gun. He was like a badass, He goes and kills all the bad guys. I love that scene. He goes in the garden, shoots all the bad guys. He's a badass, And I want action heroes like this. Why can't I get action heroes like this anymore? He goes blast the bad guys to pieces. All platoon. I miss that. He goes and uses. He goes, jumps on those two soldiers, and kicks both of them, and Arya starts fighting with him with his machine gun, and Arnold, grabs M6 and goes, shoots the guys, and he runs, he goes and jumps in the window, and he uses his shotgun, goes, shoots the guy. He uses his pump action shotgun, jumps while Arya shoots at him and goes, shoots him at least 4 times. It's a practical squid, it's a practical done, and you can see that was done for real, It was actually done for real. You can see that. It actually was done all for real, That was actually done for real because he's a stuntman. It's actually a stuntman, It's a really great, But my favorite scene, that's my second reason why it's my favorite, because when Arnold suits up, Arnold goes and he suits up himself, with armored vest, his armored vest, he puts the belt of the rounds for his shotgun, grenades, knife, and those black paint around him, like a real soldier. It's a mission. He's on his own mission to save his kidnapped daughter, which I forgot to mention, but the final shootout scene was actually on Herald Estate, filmed just like was in Beverly Hills Cop. And Axel Foley and John Matrix, they both try to save someone named Jenny, So it wears similarity to Beverly Hills Cop, because it was shot on the same scene that Beverly Hills Cop, the finale shootout was filmed. It was the same in Commando, It was the same. One of my all-time favorite action films ever. The weapons are great used. I love when he uses rocket launcher and there's like 5 guys. They go in a jeep, starts firing on Arnold, and he turns around and goes blast them to pieces and goes and blasts the wall. That's my favorite explosion, Or in the mall, Arnold goes kicks all the bad guys, goes kicks everyone's ass, He goes like and the boss and punches them. The security guard goes punches all of them, kicks all of them, and I love that. But my favorite scene is on the beach when he gets suits up, and I love how great shot by Mark Lester was, how great shot was, and that's what makes one of my favorite Arnold Schwarzenegger films, one of my favorite action films, one of my all-time favorite movies of all time, the best one. And now number 1, that's number 2. Number 1 is actually Arnold Schwarzenegger, or my favorite character, John Matrix. John Matrix is my favorite character. Arnold Schwarzenegger, he actually went and he cut himself, he actually stabbed himself with a real knife. He stabbed himself in the leg. He was rushed 3 times in the hospital during the filming this movie. He did all the stunts himself. Arnold Schwarzenegger did all his stunts himself. He did all the stunts himself, He sweated. He actually jogged at least from, he actually jogged he actually jogged for 3 to 5 miles a day and pumped iron 1 hour. He trained. He also was learning, the martial arts, because when he goes and fights Cook, you can see that he uses one of the legs, and he just like Van Damme, he uses a karate kick and punches him in the face, He actually trained, and also I forgot to mention, Arnold Schwarzenegger's performance was real. It was well done. It was real as a real soldier, because when you see, in the warehouse, and Arnold goes and he crawls, that no one can sees him. He actually had a real military training, and he acted right. He did it right, The filmmaker and the army technician, who works as a consultant, did a real job. They prepare Arnold for this role. And they actually, how real soldier acted, how real soldier act in the time like this. And Arnold did a real performance. It was done for real, It was realistic. I would say, to me, Commando is not fiction, it's realistic, In Patricia Industries in warehouse, when Arnold and Cindy, they go there, that was Patricia Industries really exist, I love the warehouse scene. I love the airplane scene when Arnold goes in the airplane, and 2 guys are shooting at him. He uses Uzi, he goes and uses that Uzi submachine gun. He actually uses. He goes and uses Uzi submachine gun, and shoots 2 bad guys in the jeep. They fall under the pier, Also, there's a scene when Arnold, uses Russian ballistic knife that launches the blade out. It says "Como estás?", and fires that blade in the soldier, or when he kills all the soldiers. But yeah, my number 1 reason is Arnold Schwarzenegger's performance as John Matrix, because John Matrix is my comic book hero. I love when he goes and kick the shit out of Cook. The final scene is the best. When he goes and fights Bennett. When Bennett shoots him and he goes with a knife. And he actually uses that philosophia on him. So that he goes. In a fist to fight, and I love the fight scenes, and I love the fight scenes. Every time he fought Bennett, I love the fight scenes, The fight scenes was done for real. It was all when Arnold Schwarzenegger, Schwarzenegger, he really did landed on that from that balcony on that floor, that beton concrete, he actually really landed. But you can see that the other man wasn't Vernon Wells, it was actually a stuntman. But that was done for real. He really did land it. He was 3 times he was rushed in the hospital. He stabbed himself. He had to get stitches, And by the finale, you can see that his blood, But I love the fight scenes. And I love that Arnold did 100% of himself. There are a few stuntmen, some there for Arnold, but the rest of the stunt scenes, Arnold did himself. He sweated. He sweated. He was in the best shape in his life. The action scenes, they're great. They're awesome. They're filmed. I mean, John Matrix is one of my favorite action stars, one of my favorite comic book heroes, and that's one of the reasons why I love this movie to death. He goes and mows all the bad guys, and I love that scene. I love Commando to death. It's my top 10 favorite action films. It's right there with Hard Target, Die Hard with a Vengeance. Hard Target, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Cobra. Demolition Man, those movies, Rambo films. But yes, Commando, I love to death. I love Dilly to death. I'm a fanboy of this movie. And you know how much I love this movie to death. It's awesome. I don't know if I forgot anything. I think that's one of the reasons. Those are actually my top 10 reasons why I love this movie to death. The plot you already know everyone about because I reviewed this film. But Arnold was very protective over the actress Alyssa Milano. He won help her by algebra, and he was very protective. I love Arnold's line, when he says "fuck you." Love that scene. A crowd pleaser directed and jolting efficiency, Los Angeles Times, which I agree with that. Love Arnold. I don't know what else to say about this movie. That it's a classic. It's one of my favorite action films, and why it's my top 10 reasons, But that's my discussion video on Commando, directed by Michael Lester, written by Steven A. D'Souza, Joseph Louis III, and Matthew Weissman, produced by Joel Silver, who also produced Die Hard 1 and 2. I don't know if he produced the third one. He produced Lethal Weapon and Demolition Man, and of course he produced Roadhouse, that I have there. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching. It's almost 1 hour long video, but that's my top 10 reasons and discussion on Commando. No, I don't think there's I think that we could got a sequel, but there's no need sequel. To me, it's a standalone movie, so that's the reason I love. It's right there with Cobra, Anyway, that's it. Take care, have fun, and I'll see you next time in a new video when I do somewhere, later when I do a reviews. Anyway, I'm out. Take care. Peace.